So these are our female 2 examples. So just right off the bat, we can kind of look overall at the just the brightness of the slide. Now you see a lot of pinks, a lot of pink. Now yes, they're wearing makeup, but that's not all celebrity. Not all our celebrity boards looked like this. They didn't all have this pink rosy quality, and I was really struck by that. You see the kind of big eyes with Carrie Underwood, Mariah Carey, even Jennifer Lopez, Celine Dion, a lot of server archetypes here.
I'm kind of torn on Carrie Underwood because I think for me she kind of borders on sexual or self-pres.
Because
she does have a little bit of that me first princessy quality. So they're probably close for her. Yeah.
Jennifer Lopez is one of those that we typed for a long time. We typed her as a 3.
Yeah.
And we watch American Idol, and we've been watching her a lot, and she's just so interpersonally related and seems to be very touched by the stories of the contestants. With the 3, you would get more of a kind of a, well, that's showbiz kid, you know, it's...
Well, actually, Cara Diaguardi is a 3.
Yeah.
And when she was on it, I mean, there was a point where she would get emotional, but it took a lot more. And J-Lo really connects to, like, the contestants, and she gets upset when they leave. And so it's really invaluable, especially when typing celebrities. A lot of them can come off as whatever the image is they're presenting.
Yeah.
And so she had a more professional, stoic image than her real self.
Yes.
So the more you can get to know about them, the better. But, you know, that's why the celebrity typings are always kind of changing.
Yeah, so again, let's look at we see the rosy cheeks here, the heart-shaped faces, predominantly heart-shaped faces here. Barbara Walters is an interesting one because she's your kind of aggressive 3-ish type 2, social 2, so you're going to get more of the 3-ish quality. She's very, you know, but remember Barbara Walters' whole kind of MO was about getting the emotional content out of people, and she used to kind of pride herself on making other people cry, and she has a bit of a sticky quality that you can get with 2s that is not uncommon with all 2s.
But because she's social and she has 8, that's going to give her more of the militant quality that we were talking about. So there's going to be a little more rigidity there, and she's going to be a little more militant. So a lot of people might see her as a 3, or even some kind of 7. But it's 2, because she will a lot of times drop comments about how much she's helped people and how Oprah, you know, wouldn't have become Oprah if it hadn't been for her. I mean, so you can kind of hear her inserting that.
With Jennifer Lopez and Mariah Carey, it was funny when I was looking through the imagery because it's all very sexy. So with Mariah Carey, it was actually hard to find a picture where like her breasts weren't out or showing. There wasn't a lot of cleavage. And that's not uncommon with the sexual 2. I mean, it's really like, come here, I'm, you know, I'm what you want. But it's still sweet. So, like, Mariah Carey is all of her imagery. It's like butterflies and rainbows, and that's very 2-ish. They like those symbols, ladybugs, things that are really sweet and cute. They all kind of have kind of a cute look. Barbara Walters and Whitney Houston look a little bit harder, and we're all familiar with, I think, with Whitney Houston and how she could display a lot of aggressiveness, and she had 2 reactive types in there. So you saw that come out with her sometimes.
Susie Orman's probably the most militant out of these 2s because she is the 2-6-1.
Yeah. So, you know, self-pres 6 adds the anxiety, and then self-pres 1 adds that kind of plebeian, practical quality. And so, you know, for a while, she was very indignant about, you know, how people were spending their money and all of that. But it really gets down to she sees herself as really helping people. And there's that little bit of that sticky quality, that energetic kind of sticky quality that you get with 2. Sarah Jessica Parker is a very interesting one because the 279, anytime you get it, because it's triple positive, the 3 types kind of merge because of the positivity. So
they can all seem similar. Anyone that's this tri-type can seem like a 2-7 or 9.
Yeah. So with Sarah Jessica Parker, we spent a long time kind of trying to figure out, she could seem like a self-pres 7 sometimes, and she could even be a self-pres 279. Social and self-pres are close for her, but it's when we started to learn a little bit more about her outside of her Sex and the City character, one quote really stuck out where the character she played on Sex and the City was likely a 4 with a 3 wing, an extroverted 4 with a 3 wing with 7 in the tri-type, so probably 4, 7, 9. But Sarah Jessica Parker herself said she had a hard time relating to the character because of how selfish she was. Because she saw her as always trying to meet her needs, and she was so selfish and always thinking about herself. And she's like, that's diametrically opposed to how I am.
And not something a seven would say.
Right. And sevens just don't. Now, sevens see themselves as abundant and they want to help people, and they do, but the identification isn't around being helpful, where she just flat out said, I don't identify with the selfishness. Most sevens know that they can be kind of selfish if they think about it. Most of them are aware of that. And then Celine Dion, again, the heart-shaped face, the server eyes, the sweet kind of quality, which they all have, the heart-shaped lips even. And if you remember, I mean, all of her songs are ballads. Most of her songs are ballads. I mean, Mariah Carey is a great example of being a great balladeer, and even Carrie Underwood. So
But
that's,
you can see more of the one with Celine Dion.
yeah.
She has a little bit more serious look than Sarah Jessica Parker.
Yeah, and the longer face. Um, so, and when she sings, she'll sort of beat her chest. She, beats her heart. Sort of the joke that they used to have on different comedy shows about Celine Dion's performances. So, but just overall, you can see the kind of rosy, sweet quality with all of the twos. And you want to look at the eyes. Whitney Houston's eyes are a little bit more subdued here, and I think it's because she's trying to look sexy. I should have gotten a red carpet picture where she wasn't necessarily posing as much, but still, you can still see that quality with the eyes and the heart-shaped face. Okay, so here are male examples. The male examples, we've got Lionel Richie, who's 271. Again, just overall, let's look at the heart-shaped faces. So with the guys, it's a little bit harder to notice, but you get that the server eyes, Bill Cosby has them, Usher has them. This is the Situation from Jersey Shore, who we type as a 2. John Travolta's eyes are a little bit more narrow. Richard Simmons got a little bit of that crazy eye with Richard Simmons. James Lipton has that sort of those eyes that go over and sit in your lap. Tyler Perry. Lionel Richie is the artisan archetype also, so you get that kind of seductive artisan quality with the curly hair and the luscious lips, and Tyler Perry really has the heart-shaped lips here. But again, you see the heart-shaped faces, and you can just see the difference in how the tri-type changes the expression of 2. So Lionel Richie's likely sexual 271.
He could have 9.
He could have 9 as well, and a one wing, that just kind of depends.
Yeah.
James Lipton, who is the Inside the Actors Studio host, we think he has 5 and 9. He's more subdued. Scholar, he's got the scholar archetype in addition to some server. You see the forehead that's kind of broad and the glasses, which we talked about with the scholar. Tyler Perry, self-pres 278. We've seen him interviewed a lot. He's very self-contained and not very self-revealing, which you can get anytime you have self-pres, but seems to be pretty assertive. Bill Cosby, social 279. It's all about helping the kids and education and being positive. So again, if you just look across the board, you can kind of see how the tri-type switches things up a bit. And I think we have a video of Richard Simmons and one with Bill Cosby in it. But again, they just all kind of have a sweet quality. If you watch the Jersey Shore, which we do, the Situation, it's all about he kind of can exemplify the lower side of 2, where he's stirring up drama, he's involved in everyone's business, and
But he sees himself as always benevolent. I mean, even when he's starting the dramas, it's never his fault, and he's just doing the best he can to make things great for everyone.
Right.
He's never the bad guy.
I'm just trying to help, and he gets his feelings hurt very easily, which he said, and he's very sensitive. But when he's really just trying to give people what they want, so he probably has a 3-wing. He shows his abs and all of that because he thinks, well, that's what people want from me. But he really is kind of soft at heart and really, I think, does want to help, but the pressure of the show seems to be causing some stress.
And again, before we continue, I just want to add, with all the celebrity typings, the tri-types, the instincts, most of that is, based on the information we have, and, we could definitely be missing some information,
Right.
and maybe the tri-type we don't have the gut type correct or whatever. So it's just kind of like a way to show you, so you get the basic idea. We're pretty sure most of these guys are 2s, but, the rest of it is kind of is still a little bit up for debate. But we're just trying to illustrate.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we can probably skip Susie Orman.
Okay.
Let's go to Patti.
Okay. So this is Patti Stanger from the Bravo show, The Millionaire Matchmaker, and this is a pretty self-explanatory clip. So.
Chili's $20 dinner for two.
Sorry about the advertisements, but if you ever wanted a steak and some guacamole, then there it is. But what she's talking about here is some gossip that was going around in the tabloids about her and her assistant, and she just really exemplifies some two-ish qualities.
With my ex-assistant, Chelsea, and she completely lied. I mean, I know what happened between us. I know that she wanted to be top dog. I fixed her up with her boyfriend. You know, did she thank me? No. Did I take her on vacation every year to expensive resorts and give her cash and buy her clothes and let her sleep in my bed, you know, during all the boy crisis? Who do you think coached her for 8 years? She didn't have a mommy in LA. I was her mommy. Her mother even thanked me. But all that goes away with ego, and Rachel Zoe's going through the same thing right now. So all of us who built our businesses, Jeff's had it too, Lewis, we all know what it feels like to be left at the altar because they have a bigger ego than us. You know, if it wasn't for us, they wouldn't have anything. And yet we don't push it in their faces. We don't upstage them. I gave her spotlight, and she took advantage of it. She took advantage of it. Same thing with my stylist. She taped me in the room. I can't prove it, allegedly, but the bottom line was her boyfriend was in the room in the second half, and you only hear the second half of the tape. And if I were a betting woman or a lawyer, I'd know, where's the first half of the tape? Why isn't that on TMZ? So we all go through this. It's just that there needs to be stricter privacy laws.
Okay, so I think it's worth noting, you know, some people type Patti as a 7, and she is very 7-ish. We do think she has the 278 tri-type. But if you watch the show, you'll notice that she wears heart necklaces and heart earrings all the time. She's obsessed with love, everything about love, traditional relationships. And when people ask her about how she is personally, she's extremely assertive on the show, almost militant. Mm-hmm. But in her personal life, she said she's very shy and almost like a little girl.
Yeah.
So we see her as a 2, and in that clip you can hear the resentment she has and her comments about, you know, I was their mother and they owe everything to us and we made them who they are and without us they would be nothing. That's a lot of 2 language.
Yeah. And the 2 is keeping tabs. That was a great example of how the 2 will keep tabs of how they've helped you out and then collect on it at a certain point, and so that's what you're getting is that resentment about having helped and then, you know, feeling burned, which we all would, but would we all talk about it in the same way? Probably not. So that's really what we were showing you with that clip.
And I think the self-work that's important for 2s and something that could be helpful for them is to learn that when you give, you need to make sure that you don't do it unless there's no expectation of return.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes people will not return the sentiment and they won't necessarily be grateful, and you can't guarantee that. And so it's important that if you are going to give of yourself and you're going to be resentful of it, that you draw the boundary there and say, I'm not going to do that unless I know there may not be the return that I want there to be.
Right.